Hello and welcome to Brodual. Today we'll be hitting you right in your nostalgia bone with some mods inspired by Oblivion. Just like our Morrowind episode, this isn't about replacing the game, but instead our aim is to sprinkle a bit of Oblivion into the world of Skyrim. If you are interested in a full overhaul, then check out the Skyblivion project. It's still making solid progress, and in fact, just yesterday another update trailer was released where they show some iconic characters and locations. Jumping straight into it with the start of a new game, we recommend the Escape from Prison option from the Alternate Start mod. One of the most iconic scenes from Oblivion is its opening, where you break out of your prison and escape with the Emperor. Of the dozen or so alternate start options, one is to break out of a prison cell. It's not exactly the same, so instead of hidden switches in the walls, you'll have to rely on some good old-fashioned lockpicking. But despite that, it still helps emulate that feeling of just being dropped randomly into a huge world, whereas in vanilla Skyrim, it can feel like you're being nudged down the path to Riverwood, even though you're technically free to do as you like. For your character, we have to again point you to the character creation overhaul. There are a couple of other class-oriented overhauls out there, but if you're striding for a system as close to Oblivion as possible, there's no mod better. You get to pick everything from a starting class, to a birth sign, to a favourite attribute. These classes not only determine your starting abilities, but also play a role in how you progress throughout the game. And then to top it all off, it's fully compatible with alternate start mods, as well as any other mods that affect perks, abilities or anything like that, so we highly recommend you give it a go. For an instant hit to your nostalgia, you'll definitely want the face-to-face conversation mod. Inspired entirely by the Oblivion system, the mod offers a smooth zooming transition whenever you directly speak to an NPC. So whenever a guard grabs your attention, or even if you're just asking Nazim how he is, you'll zoom right into his annoying little face. Surprisingly, the mod isn't as bothersome as you might think, especially for a single playthrough. The transition is smooth, and if you're using a face mod, it can be a great way to see all that extra detail. We'd also highly recommend you use the lip sync fix, but altogether, a simple and effective Oblivion inspired mod. Another option is to add remnants of the Oblivion crisis in Skyrim. It only happened 200 years ago and Skyrim was said to have been hit hard by the crisis, but no long-lasting effects can be seen in the province. For this you have two mods, both of which add Oblivion Gate ruins to Skyrim. The first adds them to the 5 major cities, and they can be found in varying levels of ruin. We found the gates to be placed in areas that were generally less cluttered, so it didn't feel like too much to have them inside the city. But for an even more subtle approach, you might want the other Oblivion Gate mod that just adds them to the outside world. Again, these can be found in varying levels of ruin. Some are perfectly fine, whereas others are just a single post or even completely fallen to the ground. They also act as landmarks, so they can be used to fast travel to, which can be handy as they're typically in the more open areas. You can use both mods together, or you can use just one depending on how you think Skyrim's population would have reacted to the gates. Would they have completely destroyed them, or would they leave them up as a constant reminder of the pain they endured during the crisis? Oblivion came out over 10 years ago, and if you play through it now you'll notice some subtle but key differences between Skyrim and Oblivion. Generally speaking, Oblivion relied more on the use of text for questing and just to share how your character was feeling. It's even reflected in its UI, which is like paper, as if you were reading from a journal. But in Skyrim the UI is more modern, and that's also reflected in the use of a more detailed HUD and the use of pointers to show you exactly where you need to go, without the need to read a single line of anything. Unfortunately, there's no real mod that overhauls Skyrim's UI to offer that rustic effect. The only thing you can really do is use the less intrusive HUD mod to align parts of the HUD into how it was in Oblivion. However, not all hope is lost. There are several mods that aim to capture the spirit of Oblivion in different ways. One of them is Reflection. This is a simple mod that tries to capture the spirit of Oblivion by reintroducing level up messages as you progress through the game. These were charming little pop-up windows that shed a bit of wisdom on the growth of your character. Instead of it all being just numbers and percentages, the pop-ups let you reflect on what you've actually achieved on your journey. Early on you'll reflect more often as you're dramatically affected by the world around you, but as you progress you'll reflect less often, all the way up until level 50. All in all, it's a simple, well thought out mod that's definitely one of our favourites. You could then take the levelling system a step further with the classic level up mod. This makes it so you need to sleep in order to receive any of your perk points, just like in Oblivion. What's great is that it's compatible alongside the reflection mod, so when you wake up the following morning you reflect on your growth as a character, and immediately receive any saved up perk points. These two mods go hand in hand, so it'll just depend on how much impact you want to have on the current system. In a similar vein, we also have the classic jail system. This brings back some more severe punishments for spending time in jail. In Oblivion, depending on how long your sentence was, some of your attributes were permanently lowered. This classic jail mod offers a similar system, but this time it's built for Skyrim skill trees. Depending on how many days you spend in jail, you'll be forced to randomly forfeit some skill levels as you waste away in your cell. On the other side, the mod also adds a random chance to be put into jail with a cellmate, which can actually teach you a thing or two about being a criminal. So prison might not always be the worst thing for an up and coming criminal, and it also adds some much needed depth to the vanilla system. Moving on to something lighter, we have some great armor mods. There aren't as many Oblivion inspired armors as there are for Morrowind, but you can still pick up a few great sets. The Colovian Leather and Noble's Clothes mods let you pick up some armors inspired by the clothing style of the western region of Cyrodiil. These aren't direct ports or even recreations, but they offer interesting styles to existing sets. It also lets you see how the different regions use the same material to make their versions of armor and clothing, similar to the Netch leather armor inspired by Morrowind. Alternatively, if you want a direct recreation of a classical armor set, you want the Knights of the Nine. This adds a small questline and a boss fight, which once completed will reward you with the iconic Crusader set from the Oblivion DLC. Also inspired by DLC, but probably not everyone's favourite, is horse armors. For this we recommend convenient horses. On top of adding a ton of essential improvements to horses in general, it also adds around a dozen new equipable horse armors, either inspired by various playstyles, or by the vanilla materials. These armors can be applied to any horse, including unique ones, and they also offer further improvements to horse carry weight and defense, so they're not just for show. This is one of the best mods for Skyrim, so whether you want the armors or not, it's worth checking out. Another iconic feature in Oblivion is the arena in Imperial City. This let you watch and bet on gladiator style events, or even partake as a gladiator yourself. The arena was a fun way to gain some gold, and when battling you could increase your rank for even better rewards. Several mods for Skyrim have offered arena systems, whether they try to directly recreate the one in Oblivion, even going as far as to reuse assets, or whether they try to offer something unique. Our favourite and the one we recommend the most is the Faction Pitfighter mod. This adds a unique Skyrim themed arena to the game. It introduces it as an underground movement through a new faction called the Paladins. You can find the pits in the Grey Quarter in Windhelm, where the toughest of fighters all come together to fight in arenas all across Skyrim. The mod adds fully voiced NPCs of an extremely high quality, to the point that they could be from vanilla. It also adds an in-depth questline and a bunch of side quests, allowing you to delve into the backstories of each fighter in the pits. Once again, you can simply watch and bet on fights, or you can become a fighter yourself, earning some solid gold as well as increasing your rank. Once you're high enough, you'll take on unique champions, which once defeated will unlock a new relic in your trophy room. It's another one of our favourite mods, and we much prefer it over the direct remakes because we feel like this is how Skyrim would handle an arena. And finally, we'll leave you with some quest mods inspired by Oblivion and the Oblivion Crisis. First up is the Oblivion Realm series. This is a two-part series that reintroduces the Oblivion Crisis to Skyrim. After some unusual sightings near Solitude, you'll be asked to investigate the area for any clues. Suddenly a gate will appear, and that begins the start of a Daedra bashing quest mod designed for higher leveled players. The mod makes clever use of cutscenes and special effects, as well as entirely new lands to explore, to make it feel like the world is truly being devoured by the Daedra. Another quest to try, and one we've actually finished, is the Grey Cowl of Nocturnal. This is a mod that'll take you to new exotic lands to hunt down the Grey Cowl, after the champion of Cyrodiil recovered it during the Oblivion Crisis. It's a fantastic stealth-oriented quest mod that uses new assets to share new NPCs, houses, dungeons that all look and feel unique. If you're interested in more, then check out our full spotlight on the mod. And that's everything we have for your Oblivion nostalgia hit. If you have any other Oblivion inspired mods that you think we've missed out on, then be sure to share them down below. As always, be sure to leave indulgence on any mod you enjoy, and thanks for watching.